Gentlemen, I'm Baby Moy, and alongside Ness and Crystal, and this is part 2 of, and I'm not focused on my camera. Here we go, and this is part 2 of what otherwise is the whole Conor McGregor fiasco and what everybody's talking about and what everybody's reporting. You guys obviously tuned in on Saturday. By the way, thanks for the viewerships. Thanks for the love, guys. I really appreciate it. But again, this is part 2. And we're going to get Ness' perspective on everything that happened on Saturday when it comes to McGregor and Nurmagomedov. But before we get to all that, I just want to remind you guys, please thumbs up, give us a like, give us a sub, tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. And please don't hesitate to leave us a comment. You have any questions? Ask. Any suggestions? Let us know. Whatever you want to say, whatever's on your mind, let it shine. Without further ado, though, with that out of the way, I'll give the table to Ness. I will not interrupt him, and then we'll pass the floor on to Crystal. We're giving away tables and floor, folks. Yes, that's right. But with all that, Ness, take it away. Floor's yours.
This segment is brought to you by Home Depot, where they give away tables, they give away floor. No, just kidding.
Yeah, man. Home Depot, man.
Now, just getting a little bit of humor out of the way, because obviously this. Wow, this this is believably unbelievable. What took place on Saturday? Obviously, you guys, for those of you that have been following us all this time, you guys are obviously well aware that I have no interest in talking about this man ever again following the incident in Brooklyn, where Conor McGregor and his team, for lack of a better word, vandalized the bus, injuring several fighters and staffers. All just to get at Khabib. And we immediately came on the next day on a WrestleMania preview show, which was that the McGregor news was not supposed to be part of it, but that happened, so we had to tackle it. He should have been fired. We shouldn't be here today discussing this. He should have been fired. None of this would have happened had they just fired him. But instead of firing him or suspending him or anything of the matter, they gave him a slap on the wrist and they booked this match, this fight, Khabib versus Conor for the belt, for the lightweight title. After a 2-year layoff, he gets a title shot that he did not deserve. Why am I so disgusted, disappointed, outraged, but also not one bit surprised by any of this? Because what the UFC chose to do, what Dana White and the UFC chose to do, is to exploit the situation and use it as a marketing tool to further fuel this rivalry. Because, folks, let's get one thing clear. This rivalry was beyond the realm of competition. This was not Joe Frazier, Muhammad Ali. This was not Bernard Hopkins versus Felix Trinidad. This was none of that. This rivalry was more like Israel versus Palestine. Okay, this went beyond the realm of competition. This was serious bad blood here between these two guys and these two camps. And Dana White and the UFC knew exactly what was going to happen if they made this fight, and if they continued to fuel it. They knew what was going to happen. They knew this was going to happen, so they took the necessary precautions, quote unquote. They had extra security. They had police officers there. But yet this was all a compelling storyline, right? But yet they had extra security there. They had extra police officers there. They had several meetings with the two camps prior to the fight. Because they knew this was going to happen. But yet they allowed it to happen. They exploited it. They profited off of it. And at the end of the day, they got exactly what they deserved. Okay, they got 3 million buys. But guess what? They made a really, really, really bad impression on those who watched UFC for the first time. A lot of these people who ordered this pay-per-view, were people who watched the main Max spectacle. Boxing fans watch this. Someone I went to school with put up a status on Facebook commenting on this event, and her takeaway from this was, quote, "Man, this is barbaric." I did not watch this event live because I had no interest at all in watching Conor McGregor. I stated numerous occasions he should be fired. He should have been fired. I stated just the other day that he is a cancer to the sport. I mentioned it. Mo mentioned it. And Crystal mentioned it. All three of us have echoed those sentiments. He is a cancer to the sport, and Dana White and the UFC are the big pharma company withholding the cure. Now, was what Khabib did, was it wrong on his part? Absolutely. But let's not get it twisted here. He was provoked. And I don't just mean Saturday night. I mean leading up, the 6 months leading up to this fight, with Conor's blatant disrespect, talking about Khabib's family, talking about his religion, talking about his country, and even making death threats.
And appointed somebody as a terrorist as well. Let's not forget.
Also, as we all know, Khabib is Muslim.
He did what?
Yes, he talked about his religion, his father, his country, called him a terrorist.
Yeah, his
death threats.
His trainer, he called his trainer a terrorist, basically.
No.
Made references to President Putin as well.
Who, by the way, he is connected to Putin. It is what it is. But after the fight, Dylan Dennis kept running his mouth. Like the sore losers that the McGregor camp is, because that's what they are. McGregor included. He kept running his mouth. And what happened? All hell broke loose. Khabib dove out of the cage, went after Dylan Dennis. People in Khabib's camp stormed the cage, went into the cage, and went after Conor. People were fighting in the crowd. People were fighting at bars. All hell broke loose. Conor McGregor and his camp incited this riot.
And they got their licks on McGregor, by the way, too.
Deserved it, yeah. Which he deserved, by the way.
Which he deserved, yeah, for sure.
If you're gonna run your mouth, you better be ready for the consequences.
Yeah.
And to echo what my colleague Mo here said on Saturday night, the hypocrisy.
Oh, here we go. This is the one that gets me fired up. Here we go. Sound off.
The the hypocrisy of Dana White.
Oh, it's disgusting, he says. Ain't do nothing about the dolly throwing idiot over there. Ain't do anything to the guy who cost him 2-3 matches on a fight card over in New York a couple months ago.
Yep.
We ain't screaming bloody murder then, are we? No.
Then he has the nerve to be smug and sit there with his smug arrogance and tell the media, "Oh, we knew this was gonna happen. It's part of the storyline. It's part of the fighting business. I've been doing this for 18 years. Blah, 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 blah."
It's all about a narrative. It's all about the storyline.
Really?
When did this become WWE?
Look here. Dana White is full of shit. Excuse the language.
Boy, there goes our
The only
perfect
reason
record,
he's
folks.
Yeah, I know.
The only reason he's even spewing out this hot garbage is because he doesn't want to admit he screwed up. One thing we know about Dana White, he can't admit when he's wrong. And when somebody calls him out on it, he gets defensive, he gets vulgar, he gets belligerent.
Oh, let's not forget the times when they've asked him, "Hey, what's up with your buy rates?"
Yeah.
Remember that question?
What happened with that?
Expletive, 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 expletive.
Are you serious?
This morning, Dana White did an interview on First Take this morning.
Yeah, he was on ESPN. He was also on ESPN yesterday, I believe, too.
He was on ESPN First Take this morning, where they read off a comment from I don't remember who the comment was from, which basically the person said that the UFC was culpable for what happened because they encouraged it, they promoted it, they condoned it, they encouraged it.
Well, what was this whole fight promoted on? The incident on the bus?
Yes.
Come on.
And Dana White, like clockwork, typical of stubborn, prideful, egotistical, can't admit when I'm wrong, Dana White responded with, "That's a stupid opinion. That's a stupid opinion.
That's all he got?
This is the fight business. That's a stupid opinion." All this talk now of possible visas being stripped, possible suspensions, fines. And listen, I'm not arguing that Khabib should be punished in some way, because he should. But so should Conor. Conor incited all of this.
Listen, let me say something here real quick. I know on Saturday I said...
Hold on. One more thing. Khabib should be punished, Conor should be punished, and Dana White and the UFC should also be punished for allowing this to happen when they knew exactly what was going to happen between these two, because they knew the bad blood between these guys was real life bad blood. This wasn't, "Oh, I'm trying to be better than you, I'm trying to become shit." No, this was, "I'm gonna kill you" type blood. Israel versus Palestine, as I referenced before. This was the kind of bad blood we were dealing with here.
Well, McGregor did send out death threats at the conference.
Yeah, he did.
I mean, yeah, one could argue, he was drunk, and he would have done it sober too.
Of course.
He's disrespectful no matter what state he's in.
I mean, because
the guy just acts like a common street thug instead of a professional fighter. Or a professional fighter / competitor. He acts like a common street thug.
I mean, you go back to Floyd Mayweather and all the stuff he called him. He wasn't drunk then.
Well, he attacked his family too, by the way.
He attacked his family.
Yeah, he did.
Made some racially insensitive remarks.
Yeah. He wasn't drunk, so you can't use that.
Hey. Conor McGregor left the octagon black from not just the belly button down, but also the belly button up.
Oh.
On Saturday I did say, And so did Joe Rogan. For those of you who watched the pay-per-view, no matter how you watched it on pay-per-view or if you caught a glimpse of it on YouTube, if you caught Joe Rogan's,
I caught the fight the next day on YouTube. Yeah.
If you caught Joe Rogan's comments, he did say upsetting because yes, Khabib Nurmagomedov went from putting on such a spectacular performance, which is what we should by all means be talking about, but we're not, unfortunately.
No, unfortunately, that's not what we're talking about.
He could have let that performance speak for itself, had his hand raised, buffer, announce you the winner, you retain your belt, boom.
Yep.
Night is over, we all go home happy, well, some of us. Excluding the McGregor nut huggers over there, right?
Yeah.
So, but we all go home happy, and I agree with that. I'm not going to say that I sit here and I disagree with the argument of, hey, you know what, this guy could have stayed composed, should have stayed composed. Okay, fine, I'll buy you on that. However, it's not easy to do after your father been attacked, after your religion been attacked, after some of your folk been called terrorists. There's only but so much disrespect that you can take from one person, let alone a few people.
Correct. Yeah.
And like I said, this went beyond the realm of competition. Right. Conor made this personal. Okay? And if it's competition, it should not be personal. You shouldn't make it personal. If it's competition, you should not make it personal.
Not to mention, listen, Nurmagomedov went after somebody who's a trained fighter, his own right. It's not like Conor over there throwing. It's not like Conor over there throwing a dolly at a bus. Who, by the way, there were people there who weren't fighters.
Yes, there was other UFC staff on that bus.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm not saying that it excuses him throwing the dolly at the bus, but I'm just saying, right? For those who have that mentality, I'm just saying.
Regardless of the fact that they're fighters, you got somebody throwing a dolly at a bus. What the hell are the fighters supposed to do? Step off the bus and get run over by the dolly?
Please. No. 2-3 fights were scrapped off of that card. Some people got glass in their eyes.
Yep.
But nothing was done. So it's okay for Conor to be a criminal, but it's not okay for Khabib to, to be fed up with this abuse. It's not okay for him to act human. You poke the bear one too many times, bruh. This is what happens.
Yep.
Yeah. And for all you McGregor nut huggers out there, look at Khabib's track record, and look at your Golden Child's track record, and you tell me who the bad guy is here.
How many times have we heard of Khabib getting in trouble? What does his public record read? Tell me.
Let's see, injury prone and occasionally misses weight. Okay.
What does McGregor's track record read?
Disorderly conduct, racist, sexist, disrespectful, whiny, bratty, etc., 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 etc.
I hate us on whiny.
Now, Crystal, I know you've been wanting to say something, and I'm sorry we keep cutting you off.
I have.
Crystal. Yeah.
Okay. Now, as a person who is a woman, and as a person who always sticks up for the mentally challenged, there was someone who had mental challenges on this bus. She could have had a mental breakdown. Then what could have happened? That's what scares me about the whole thing as well. And another thing, I want to go back to what my colleague Ness said earlier. There were people who was watching UFC for the first time. I have a friend, her and her husband went somewhere, they watched the fight. She's not into that, but she saw it for the first time. And I remember she had asked me yesterday, is that what the UFC is really about? People getting into fights after the fight? And I said, no, it shouldn't be about that. But it is, and I basically, because she was like, well, Khabib shouldn't have done what he did, because obviously she didn't know what happened with McGregor last year. So I gave her a rundown, and she was like, oh, you know what? I'm not a fan of his anymore. That's not right.
Well, in terms of these fans who ordered the fight, in terms of these fans who watched the Maymax spectacle, I will say this. As much as they're turned off by this, as much as they're screaming, oh my gosh, how could this be? This is barbaric, this is that. Come the rematch, which will either take place in Russia or in Ireland. Come the rematch, those are the same people that are going to end up ordering the pay-per-view again. I promise you, I guarantee you that.
Wow. I hope it takes place in Russia. I'm just saying.
Oh, yeah.
I hope it
does. You know what? I hope so, too, because obviously the UFC needs to learn a major lesson that they have yet to learn.
And I hope
this
President
blew
Putin
up.
Gets invited.
You know, I had said prior when this announcement was made that this event was going to flop.
It did.
And boy, did it ever. In a way that I did not imagine.
I couldn't believe it when all this stuff was said and done. I couldn't believe it. I sat there and I was thinking to myself, you did it, Connor. You provoked this guy. He shouldn't have done what he did.
Yeah.
Because like I told Mo the other day, there are kids watching this. And they're gonna think, oh, it's okay to fight.
Hold on a second. There's a video I want to play. Keep going, guys. I'll look for this. Guys, if you don't see my face on the cam, don't mind me. Hold on. I'm just looking for something. Go ahead, guys.
Nah, he's just hiding. That's all it is.
Go ahead. Playing hide to seek. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway,
hold on. I'm gonna count while he's hiding. 1, 2.
Oh my gosh.
Go ahead.
And I was telling him, there's kids watching this as well. And what's that gonna say to them? Oh, it's okay because Khabib did it, so I can just go ahead and rush somebody and do that too? But at the same time, it's one of those, I don't blame him.
The crazy thing is that kids watching is the least biggest issue of all this. As crazy as that sounds.
That's crazy. And
That's the least of it. We're talking about serious ramifications here. We're talking about bad blood that could have serious ramifications.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, I mean, I can't believe it. I mean, McGregor provoked him. It's that simple. He got provoked. He got tired of the mental abuse because it was mental. And Khabib never took shots at his family, never took shots at his religion, never took shots at his son. Nothing like that.
Exactly.
Nothing. He was calm and collective. But as soon as the fight was over, that calm and collective side just went out the window.
Listen to these points. Here we go.
Go ahead.
Whoops, wrong button. Here we go. Memorable. Crap, we got an ad going here. Hold on. Let's wait for that to go through.
Oh, I hate when that happens.
Here we go.
Hey everyone, thanks for clicking on this video.
Yo, anxious to see
Bear
it.
with me, I'm going to get a little preachy today, but I have an important message I want to talk about. So my name's Shane Faison. I run one of the most popular martial arts YouTube channels, nearly 2 million subscribers, and I'm not bragging about that. I have a point. I'll get there. So yesterday was one of the biggest events in MMA history between Conor McGregor and Khabib Nurmagomedov. And if you didn't watch, spoiler, it was a 4-round mauling. Khabib not only was out grappling, but also outstriking Conor, and in the 4th round tapped him out with a rear naked choke. But then he proceeded to jump over the cage and attack Conor's teammate, Dylan Dennis. And those who are pro-Khabib say that his actions were justified because Conor insulted his family, his country, his religion. And those who are pro-Conor say that Khabib and all of his lackeys should be banned and arrested. And that's the most confusing part to me, is that I woke up this morning and saw that all of the comments on social media and all of the press headlines are taking sides and trying to figure out who's to blame. Doesn't that seem childish to you? I mean, doesn't that seem elementary? I understand legacy, honor, and respect, but these are two grown men who are exercising criminal behavior. They're both at fault. Now, before the UFC, the most prominent representation of martial arts was a man named Bruce Lee. And when you think of Bruce, you think of someone who was stoic, poised, and intellect. He had equal control of his body, but also of his mind and his emotions. I didn't see any self-control last night, or the months leading up to it. I talk about having a large following because I understand the power of influence. People with a big Instagram or YouTube following, fighters, celebrities, the things that they do and say influence the people who watch them. I get thousands of messages a week from people saying, "Thank you for your videos. I joined martial arts because of you." So because of things that I've said and the videos that I've put up, I've influenced people to start their martial arts journey. But it's not just young kids. Going through my Instagram feed, I saw tons of street fights in bars, in the lobby of the arena. Grown men fighting because their role model lost, or because their role model said it's okay to jump into the crowd and start punching people and putting innocent lives at risk. To me, there's nothing martial arts about that. And now, the biggest representation of martial arts is the UFC. So when a non-fan or a casual fan reads the articles today, they're going to see it as human cockfighting. They're not wrong. Where's the martial arts? When I first started training martial arts, I joined a Taekwondo gym when I was 9 years old. And at the beginning and at the end of every class, we had to recite a student creed. And it went exactly like this. I intend to develop myself in a positive manner, to avoid anything that will reduce my mental growth or physical health. I intend to develop self-discipline, to bring out the best in myself and others. I intend to use what I learn in class constructively and defensively, and to never be abusive or offensive. As a young kid, and saying that 10 times a week to myself had an effect. If you believe in affirmations, you know how powerful they are. Now, we're practicing martial arts, and that translates to the art of Mars. Mars being the god of war. So we're practicing the ways of war. We're practicing how to use our body to destroy someone else's body, how to choke them out unconscious or to kill them, how to use our bones to break someone else's bones. Don't you think it's important that we practice self-control, integrity, respect? I do. If you agree, share this video. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I'm Shane with Fight Tips for the Underdogs.
Woo!
Wow.
Yeah, I did see that. I saw that video yesterday. Yeah, Shane made some really valid points there.
Yeah. And every time I think MMA,
Yeah.
I think Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
And I don't think UFC. I always think Bruce Lee.
But
because
right now in this day and age, like he said, UFC is what represents martial arts.
Exactly. And
Yeah,
the question
like we
is,
said on
People,
numerous-
people,
like
people
we said
call
on-
the sport UFC.
right.
Yeah, UFC is the face of MMA.
Yeah. And that's what's really sad now, because it's not anymore. You have grown men acting like children.
You know,
And I'm
worse.
ashamed to
You have
say
you have
this.
grown men acting like wild animals.
you know, I cannot,
yeah.
I cannot argue his point at all.
No, not at all.
No.
And he's somebody
I'm
that
ashamed-
stands in the court of, I'm not for one and I'm not for the other.
Right.
Yeah.
Because as even we've said, they're both wrong.
They are.
Yeah.
And you
Yes.
know, and
Go ahead.
it sucks that I have to say this, but I don't even think children would act like the way that they did.
No,
or they are
not
acting
at
out.
all.
No, but children are influenced.
No.
Yes, they are, and that's what's so scary.
And believe it or not, the UFC, MMA has a following of children. As
Yes,
brutal as the
they
sport
do.
is, as graphic as it is, and it is, there's no other sport as graphic as MMA. I'll definitely agree with that. Yeah, that's right, sir.
All right, Barry White.
What else you got?
Ah.
Nothing? No? Okay, no.
May I have this dance?
Yes.
Yes, go on. Why are you taking so long to talk to me? Yeah, yesterday. Wait, did he say yesterday? I think he said yesterday, right?
Yes.
Yesterday.
Yes.
Yesterday, yeah.
Yesterday.
Yeah.
Yesterday.
Yesterday.
I did.
Right on.
You know, I think yesterday sounds more polite than when you say it in Spanish. Ayer.
Oh.
Yesterday. Ayer.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, folks, we gotta have some fun here. Come on.
Yeah. It wouldn't be right if we didn't, right?
Yeah. See, yesterday. See.
But for real, who can argue that man's points? If you can,
Nobody.
step up to the plate, show us what you got.
Comment below if you can rebut anything that man said. Feel free.
Cause I'm for him. I agree, and did I say I agree?
Yeah.
Yes.
Anybody else got anything else they want to say?
This could have been avoided. Okay, the UFC knew this was gonna pop off like this, but they let it go on.
Oh, and by the way,
You know
congrats
what?
to this man for mentioning the words for months. For months. In other words, he's aware of how long this whole thing's been going on for. He understands that this wasn't just a matter of this happening on Saturday. He knows.
No,
He knows that these are
has been
events
going
that
on.
one event led to another, to another, to another.
This has been going on for the past 6 months now.
This is ridiculous.
6 months. And as I said in the beginning of the podcast, he should have been fired. Conor McGregor should have been fired. Not rewarded with a title shot that he had no business having in the first place. He should have been fired.
And he won't defend. Anyway, if we got it.
We mentioned before that Conor was trying to get in Khabib's head and epically failed.
Correct.
Which is why he decided to up the ante, push the envelope, poke the bear, and it came back to bite him in the ass.
Boy, did it bite him.
At one point during that fight, Khabib basically stood in front of Conor and said, "Come on,
Hit me.
give me your best shot."
Go ahead, hit me. Your punches ain't mean-ish. Even on stand-up, McGregor had nothing for that man.
Khabib didn't even flinch, he didn't stagger, he didn't stumble.
He did exactly what he said he was gonna do. Mauled him.
Oh yeah. And at the end of the day, he tapped out.
Yeah.
To a choke that wasn't even fully in.
No.
He didn't even have it all the way.
Wow.
No.
And now McGregor is crying for a rematch.
McGregor's crying. Dana's crying. The nut huggers over there are crying.
Khabib should be stripped of the belt. He should be arrested. He should be deported. Oh, shut up, all of you. McGregor's not the victim here. The man's been getting away with murder for the past 2 years. Plus. 3 years now. Whether it was him jumping into the crowd and going after Aldo after his fight with, I forget who he was, Chad Mendes, I believe it was.
Yes, correct.
Or throwing bottles at this during the presser for the second Nate Diaz fight, injuring somebody in the crowd, a woman in the crowd.
Or visiting Bellator,
gosh.
slapping officials around.
Mm-hmm. Or showing up to press conferences late and throwing chairs.
Or getting the Irish mob involved in some business at some bar fight he had.
Mm-hmm. And lastly, vandalizing the UFC bus, injuring several fighters and staff. At an event that he wasn't even a part of.
At an event of which he cut 2-3 matches from.
Mm-hmm. Resulting in 2-3 fights being canceled as a result.
Wow.
Incredible.
That's just...
And was there any disciplinary measures taken? Hell no. Should there have been? Absolutely. Should he have been fired? Absolutely. Should have been fired.
Oh, he was jailed. No, moron. He was detained.
Yeah, that's not the same thing. He
That's
was
not the same
detained and then
thing.
released.
He was detained. He wasn't jailed. There's a huge difference. I'm just saying.
Yeah. He was
I'm
only
not crazy.
He was only there for what, a couple hours while they were processing him and processing the paperwork and for his release and all that? Yeah. That was it.
Detain means you just wait in the lobby of a jail. That's all it means. It don't mean
Yeah,
you're
exactly.
going to a jail cell.
Mm-hmm.
He should be dropping the soap right now, but anyway.
That's neither here nor there. But hey, the UFC seems to love this storyline, quote-unquote storyline. All right.
There will be
Go ahead.
There will
Make
be a
re-
rematch.
Go ahead and make a rematch. And go ahead and take this sideshow to Russia. See what happens.
I hope it's in Russia.
And
See what happens.
And just to clarify this, folks, listen, Dana White stands there and says, this is the fight business. No, this is not the fight business. Unfortunately, what it is this is what the fight business has turned into, the fight business in terms of MMA.
All because of who?
That thug over there. All to protect him, all to protect his quote-unquote legacy. Whatever legacy, whatever reputation that's built on.
What legacy?
His legacy is built on thuggery and being obnoxious. That's what his because Conor McGregor is a common schoolyard bully. That's what he is.
Yep.
Have we squozen the
Un
juice out
perro
of
que
this?
ladra pero no muerde. You know what I'm saying? Un perro que ladra pero no muerde.
Have we squozen the juice
A
out
dog
of
that barks but doesn't bite.
Because
Say what?
have we squozen the juice out of this?
I believe we have.
Can I get out of
I
here?
believe we have. Let's get out of here.
Let's go.
I'm done talking
But
about
before we
this guy.
do, stay tuned. We'll be back Thursday, y'all, to have some fun. Y'all already know.
Yeah, we'll be
Yes,
bringing
Crime
you
Syndicate
sports.
will be back.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Crime Syndicate will be back next week.
Next week we'll be back with Crime Syndicate. Yep.
Yes. And on Thursday, we'll be bringing you Sports Vista. Yes!
Oh yes, and on Thursday the barbershop will be open once again. The Cyber Barbershop will be open once again. The fun will be this will be a fun zone once again. That's right, man. We'll be talking about nothing but greatness on Thursday, y'all.
We'll be talking about the Eagles taking on the Giants. We'll be talking about Drew Brees, and we'll also be talking about the Chiefs versus the Patriots. You won't want to miss this, folks.
Yes,
We won't
yes.
be talking any MMA, so sorry, folks. But for you wrestling fans,
No.
I will be bringing you some wrestling news, and who knows what else. We might even talk about baseball. Might.
But For you MMA
No
fans out
promises.
there, if you're really interested, you can watch a dinosaur act between Fedor and Chuck Liddell and Chael Sonnen coming up at some point this week, this week, next week, one of these days.
All right. Bro, I understand viewership, man, but come on, please.
No, well, hey, man, this is part of the viewership business.
Oh, God. You know what? Unfortunately, he is right. We do have to report on these things. And listen, folks, stay on your toes. If there's any news that's vital, crucial to the cause, we will be reporting here on ENT Hooligans. And this doesn't just pertain to the whole McGregor fiasco. This pertains to anything. If there's anything that I feel that I have to sound off, Crystal, Ness, anything that we want to sound off, we'll be giving you 5-6 minute videos or shorter. Because I understand some people's attention span doesn't really run that deep. So, for your mental sakes, attention sakes, we'll be giving you video shorts from time to time. Stay on your toes for that, folks. Okay? For ENT Hooligans, I'm Baby Moy, he's Ness, she's Crystal. Ness, any final words, Crystal? Any final words before I send them off with a see ya?
God bless y'all. Peace.
Nothing? Okay.
Nothing.
Well, guys, in everything you do, remember, have a beautiful day, rest of the day, have a beautiful day tomorrow till Thursday. Keep God number one in your life always. For ENT Hooligans, I'm Baby Moy.